What's happening, fight fans? Just checked out the fights last night. David Lemieux, Curtis Stevens, as well as Yuriorkis Gamboa against Rene Alvarado. Let me start with the undercard first because it was not as exciting. Yuriorkis Gamboa coming off of a 15-month layoff, and he pretty much had a pretty good technical win over Rene Alvarado. If you watch the fight, you notice some of the fans were in there booing. But what those fans didn't realize is that this man is coming off of a 15-month layoff, and he is definitely not going to be as sharp as you may have been used to seeing him in the past. Now, I'm willing to bet that some of those people there probably have never seen Yuriorkis Gamboa fight. They were just there for a good show, and probably they heard that the main event was going to be a banger, which it was. So they're looking at this fight hoping to get some fireworks, but that's not exactly how Gamboa fights. Truthfully, Gamboa, I'll give him about a C. He looked a little rusty. His timing was off a little bit from being out the ring. But even with that said, he still looked kind of sharp in my opinion. I think that another fight or two, and he could probably put on a good performance. The talk in that fight kept being him against Lomachenko. I don't think that that should be his next fight. I know Lomachenko fights next month. I think Yuriorkis Gamboa needs one or maybe two more fights. Fights that I was looking at was Mayura would be a good fight because he is a of action fighter, and he probably would force Gamboa into fighting more. If not, maybe Jazriel Corrales. Those would be two fights that I think that if he's willing to step up that high this quick, that he could take, and if he can look good in those fights, that could get him prepared for Lomachenko. And I would even throw Roman Martinez in there. I know Lomachenko sparked him, but it still would be nice to see. He still is considered a top 10 fighter, and it would be nice to see Gamboa in there with at least another top fighter before he can get a Lomachenko fight, at least before it would get me to be interested and think that it could be a decent fight. Now let's move on to the main event. Any of you who knows boxing and boxing styles, you knew that somebody was going to get knocked out in this fight. Didn't matter which one of the guys it was. These are two guys who are flat-footed, who throw a lot of power in every shot they throw, and we knew it would end in a knockout. Now, I actually went back and forth on this fight. I originally picked Lemieux when the fight was signed because my thought process was Lemieux was a little bit taller. Lemieux does have a power jab, kind of like a young prime Jermaine Taylor used to have, that jab that will put you on notice. Not to mention, other than the Textera fight, which Curtis Stevens showed up in, he didn't look too good in his fight. In the other fight that he had, I forget the guy who it was he fought. So I actually said, I'm going to pick Lemieux by stoppage. What I mean by stoppage is Curtis Stevens stood in there with Golovkin, and that's how Golovkin stopped him. He did knock him down in the second round, but he stopped him on his feet. Then, probably about Wednesday of this week, I changed my mind and I said, you know what, I'm going with my man Curtis Stevens. I started thinking about that short left hook that he throws, and I thought about the fact that Lemieux would be probably throwing trying to throw that power shot, and Curtis would catch him with one of those crisp short left hooks, and bam, he would be out of there. The day of the fight, I changed my mind. I went back with Lemieux. I said, you know what, I'm just going to ride with Lemieux. I think he's going to stop Curtis probably in the somewhere between the 6th or 7th round, stop him on his feet. Almost changed my mind again when they went in the ring and I saw Lemieux's soft-looking body. Lemieux's body has never been like a statue, but his body just looked a little padded to me. I don't know if it's because he put on 17 pounds overnight, but I didn't. I stuck with it, and I said, you know what, I'm going to go with Lemieux. Let's see what happens. I didn't watch the fight last night live. Fight was on too late. I got up today on Sunday and I watched it, and I was utterly surprised at what I saw. From the moment the bell rang, these guys were throwing left hooks and overhand rights. Every punch they threw was hard. Lemieux looked pretty good in that first round, especially with the overhand right where he caught Curtis high on the head and stunned him. In the second round, Stevens began to do work. I saw him going to the body, which I like to see, to kind of see if Lemieux was in good shape or if it was just from the extra weight he put on overnight. Lemieux also began to go to the body in that round, and it was a pretty steady round on both sides. I wasn't actually scoring the fight because this was a fight where I knew somebody would get knocked out, so I just sat back and enjoyed it. Then comes the third round. Curtis is coming on strong. It looks like Lemieux may be sucking wind a little bit. David begins to back Curtis up to the ropes, and then it happened. He threw that straight right hand, and he was already getting ready to throw the left. Planted that left foot. It was already coming. Curtis was also about to throw a left hook, but David's got there first. It was a classic short counter left to the side of the head, and Curtis was out. I mean, Curtis, it was like Manny Pacquiao against Marquez in the fourth fight. Curtis was out before he hit the ground, and when he hit the ground, he still was unconscious. That lets you know how devastating a shot that was. It was a beautiful punch, and the most important thing is I'm glad to see that Curtis was fine after the fight. So now, where does David Lemieux go from here? He talked about wanting to fight Golovkin again. And wanting to get back in the mix with a big fight. There's a couple of fights I think that would be good for him next. Billy Joe Saunders or Dominic Wade. I say Dominic Wade because I don't know who Dominic has fought since his loss to Golovkin, but Dominic Wade is ranked in the top 10 at middleweight. He's number 5, and it would be a common opponent with Golovkin if the goal is to get back to Golovkin. But the fight I would really like to see, and I would love to see it next, is Billy Joe Saunders. Let David Lemieux go over to the UK, put him in there with Billy Joe Saunders, and let's see if Billy Joe Saunders can stand up to that power. I'll tell you right now, if they make that fight, I have Lemieux all day in that fight. And of course, he mentioned Canelo, but that's not going to happen. I don't think Golden Boy will let Canelo anywhere near this monster named David Lemieux. I don't see that happening. So how about we get Billy Joe Saunders and see that fight? All right, fight fans, it was a pretty good fight. It ended the way we all thought it would, with one of them being spread out on the campus or either getting or getting stopped on their feet. That's all I have. Catch y'all later.
Knockout victory. Lemieux got what he was looking for on a perfect right-hand shot.
No, left hook, left hook, Jim. Left hook right to the chin.
Guys, that's the knockout of the year so far, I believe.
By far.
That was a bomb.
He put Stevens to sleep in a fight where it looked like Stevens was coming on, like Lemieux's future was in jeopardy. Just had the feeling of the kind of fight where Lemieux could get stopped. And Stevens, there's concern around him right now.
That was a bomb.